Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
Well, I got to tell you, that's too much. Mr. T sent us a video intro by Mr. T. It's all satire. Now, shut your pie hole. Folks, you want to know who is saying shut your pie hole? It would be the Canadian Parliament members as they boo and shout, "Where did Justin go?" Because he showed up and then he ran away like a big sissy. Folks, it's the Friday frenzy here on The Prepared Mind. It's a free-for-all. That's right. Just like terrible Ted Nugent used to sing about. It's a free-for-all. Everyone get it. It has been an SHTF week, no doubt. Why am I excited? Why am I enthusiastic? Because you have been doing a great job. You've been subscribing. A lot of new subscribers are showing up on YouTube and on Patreon. It's only $2 a month on Patreon. And boy, you get a lot more. The information that we put out today on Patreon got sent to me from different places. Send it up to Jolene. She'll put it out there. Folks, incredible. Absolutely incredible. Now, I've got something new for you. I've been saying, hey, we all need to write, text, call, right? I keep saying that. Write, text, call your congressmen, your senators, governors, everybody. Well, that was an idea, you know, kind of like Joe Biden says Antifa is just an idea. Well, I had just an idea. And interestingly, somebody knew how to do something with that. We've got a website. It's called Align Act. ALIGNACT.com. AlignAct.com. And what you do there is you go register there, and then you hit one button and an email saying defund all of Gigi Biden's mandates. And it goes to every congressman, senator, everyone out there in one shot. Oh, I've had lots of congressmen and senators write me back and say, gee, thanks for the letter, right? What it does is it turns you into an entire crowd of protesters. So every one of you that goes to Align Act, ALIGNACT.com. I put in my name, I put in my zip code, I put in my email and my phone number. Hey, if the FBI wants to find out where I'm at and who I am, they already know. I don't care. I want these politicians to know who I am. They're the ones who need to hear from all of us. Do it, folks. Do it now. That's right. Get it done. Now, we've got a lot more going on, a lot more. And we got some incredible stuff. This Harvard professor, knucklehead extraordinaire. Let's see, what else did she do? I think she worked for CNN. I've got her in two different places here, folks. Two different places. CNN contributor, former Obama Department of Homeland Security advisor. Once again, we have politicians, bureaucrats at the highest levels of government, right? I've stood out on Pennsylvania Avenue and looked at the White House, folks. I did that back in, I don't know, the 1990s somewhere. I never went in the White House. I wasn't allowed to go in the Oval Office. I wasn't allowed to stand with the president or the president's men and put my opinion out there. Well, this ridiculous broad did, right? She worked as an advisor on Obama's Department of Homeland Security. So what did she say? Oh, this is where it gets juicy, folks. It has hit the fan. Are you prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. You're going to love this, folks. This professor should have kept her big pie hole shut. Like Mr. T says, shut your pie hole. This is what she says. Now, today, listen to this. The Convoy protest, applauded by right-wing media as a freedom protest, is an economic and security issue now. The Ambassador Bridge link constitutes 28% of annual trade movement between U.S. and Canada. Slash the tires empty gas tanks, arrest the drivers, and move the trucks. Okay, one more time. Obama's Department of Homeland Security, CNN contributor and professor, snot-nosed Juliet Kayyem, says slash tires, empty gas tanks, arrest drivers. And then how do you move the trucks? Well, I guess you just drag them or something, hit them with a tank. That's what she said, right? Those trucks, those freedom seekers are affecting business, don't they know? Let's see what Juliet Kayyem said back when Trump was president. When, let's see, the flaming, burning, looting, murdering Antifa and BLM was out there. She had this to say: we now know Trump wanted 10,000 active troops deployed. Dangerous? Yes. Ahistorical? Certainly. Legal? Only if, like Trump, you see lawful protest with pockets of violence as an insurrection. Right? That's what she had to say before. Now, once again, if you look through this through the lens, I guess, of partisanship, and if you're a leftist, look through the lens of an actively stupid and tarded mind, right? Lawful protest. Okay. Well, what did the protesters do that they claim is lawful? Standing in roads, blocking traffic. They claim that was lawful. Let's see, blocking off streets, taking over entire sections of cities and calling them autonomous zones, kicking the police out. They call that lawful. And then pockets of violence. Folks, the pockets equaled multiple billions of dollars in damage. Those are some pretty impressive pockets, don't you think? Well, if that's not a big deal, then I guess deep pockets Juliet Kayyem could certainly pay for it herself. So once again, yeah, hey, there's a difference between protesting over the death of St. George Floyd and protesting over the shutdown of the entire economy, the entire population, kids, families, workers, businesses lost, destroyed, the whole thing. Folks, we're talking trillions of dollars in damage done by the booster rooster and all of the governors who refused, right, to look at this and apply science. Wow. I hope you're enjoying my sarcasm, because it is so thick that you could stand a fork up in it. And then they can probably fork off too, I tell you. The Ontario government. Folks, Friday Frenzy, free-for-all. Oh, get your questions in. In fact, Jolene, attention. Let's mix it up here. We're going to put some other comments and questions in and sprinkle them throughout the hour instead of saving them to the end. Okay, because it is a Friday free-for-all. But I'm going to cover one more thing, then we'll jump to one of your guys' questions. Ontario government says that they froze Give, Send, Go for that money that was going to go to the trucker convoy. They say they got a court order, right? Canadian government, too bad, you can F off, right? To the media, Give, Send, Go said that account has not been shut down. Give, Send, Go is not subject to Canadian court order. We are not Canadian citizens. We will issue a press release shortly. And so this is their press report, right? Know this: Canada has absolutely zero jurisdiction over how we manage our funds here at Give, Send, Go. All funds for every campaign on Give, Send, Go flow directly to the recipients of those campaigns, not least of which is the Freedom Convoy campaign. Pow! Free speech, folks. Listen to me very carefully. Understand this: preppers, patriots, Americans, and Canucks. They ruled, the Supreme Court ruled, that corporations have a right, okay, an artificial legal person, a corporation, has a right to express its First Amendment. I didn't know non-biological organisms, corporation. It's a person under law, have a right I thought they had privileges, and they do actually only have privileges. But they decided they have a right, or a privilege, if you will, to express their First Amendment belief. A company can express its First Amendment belief, so they can contribute all the money they want in a political campaign. Okay, once again, free speech, using money to talk to the government. You, as a free human being, ought to be able to give money to protesters to support them, even though many others don't agree with what's being said. Sorge Goros can fund political campaigns of all stages and sizes in America and get away with it. Sorge Goros can send money to protesters all over the country and pay them cash, huge amounts of cash that we heard about during the Antifa and BLM protests. These people are a bunch of hypocrites, and they think they can just shut down the world. Well, they actually believe they can, folks. They believe we're too stupid to understand. And again, I want to point back to what my good friend Rick, who sent me a great message from Texas. He said, they're afraid of us, right? Because me and you, all of us patriots, we find out what they're saying, we share it with everyone else, we pick it apart, tear it apart, analyze it, and then redistribute a counter argument to the left-wing lunatics in their story. And we're good at it. Because what could be a 1, 2, or 3 week narrative that the media just plays on and the White House just kind of sits on, we tear it apart in a matter of minutes and hours. And that's why they want to shut us down. We're too effective. So what I say to you is keep being effective. Keep looking at this, folks. Keep looking at this. Now, after 2 years of absolutely shredding the rights of the people of Michigan, ripping apart their economy. And once again, Michigan, yeah, that's where Ford and GM and other car manufacturers are, right? Michigan, Detroit. Governor Gretchen the Grinch Whitmore. All she needs is a mustache, and you'd think that was Hitler with a wig on. She's telling Canadian leaders now, right, to save the economy. She's telling them to shut down the trucker protest at the bridge and help everyone out. If she wanted to save the economy, she should have knocked her crap off 2 years ago. Instead, every time, folks, every single time, all she did was promise more and more lockdowns, endless lockdowns and nightmares for the people. But now she wants to pretend like she's all about the economy. Oh, now Governor Gretchen the Grinch Whitmore, now she's a capitalist? No, folks, she's a fascist. Ford Motor Company and the other motor companies out there, Auto Parts and Manufacturers Association, they're now telling the politicians, we're done with this. We need to do some business. And the politicians are right there to obey. Well, guess what? The people come first, not the corporations. Not the corporations. Well, in Canada, they're doing something special now. Oh, shoot, I'm supposed to stop. Jolene, you should have stopped me. You should have put up a big red flag. Hey, stop it, John. Let's see what you guys want to talk about. Who's up first on the Prepared Mind channel on this Friday Frenzy free for all? Who wants to step up and hit one out of the park? These people, folks, have done nothing but cause mayhem. Mayhem, I tell you. And I'm talking about people like the Booster Rooster. I'm talking about Gigi Biden. I'm talking about all these clowns, these asshats. Well, okay, we got Rick O'Connell checks in. He says it's been 2 years. Accidental release or not, we know cerveza bug came from China. And I say, well, whether it was bat stew or someone leaking it from the lab, I don't care. Yeah, it came from China, right? He says, how have they not been swacked militarily or with sanctions yet? They have to pay for this worldwide debacle, I think is what that last word was going to be. Well, Rick, I tell you what, China cannot be swacked, whacked, or clubbed militarily. They are now a world superpower and have been for years. In fact, they now have intercontinental ballistic missiles tipped with nuclear weapons, thanks to, dun, 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 Bill and Hillary Clinton, who occupied the White House in the 1990s. They gave permission for Loral Space to work with China, and now they have intercontinental ballistic missile technology. You bet. They can launch missiles and zap people. Not only that, but China now has access to and is creating hypersonic missiles. So a hypersonic missile travels so fast you can't see it. Like 5, 6, 7,000 miles an hour. Who knows what these things really do? Flies so fast you wouldn't see it, folks. Flies so fast we can't intercept it. Right? Even shooting something with a laser, well, you better have laser beams everywhere, right? Look out. So yeah, thank you very much for that. But yeah, better yet, can we twack China if China is, well, I don't know, currently engaged in cooperative business agreements with the Biden family via Hunter Biden? In other words, the White House and its family is profiting, according to many experts, because of their business relationships. The big guy needs his 10%. No, yeah. But meanwhile, you and I have to do as we're told. We have to behave while other countries just do as they will. Okay, well, keep one in the hopper for me, Jolene. I'm going to go back into a very important topic. Get this. A journalist for Canada, the Prime Minister Trudeau's CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the state broadcaster, suggests this, that child welfare, what we call down here in the States, Child Protective Services, CPS, up there, the child welfare should seize the truckers' children's, right? That's the recommendation. You go in there and seize those children, because about 25% of the truckers in the convoy have their families with them. Now, remember, trucks these days basically have an RV living quarters on them, because you're allowed to drive for 8 hours. You got to stop, get some rest, yada, yada. So what do? They got bed, bunks, right? Food, little kitchens, all kinds of stuff. And I'm sure up there in the Great White North, they really do a good job to be comfortable, because you can get locked in one of those things for a snowstorm. Anyways, about 25% are estimated to contain the families. And so this jackass from the media, the state media, once again, propagandist, a media idiot giving the whole world their opinion as if it matters, as if these sanctimonious pricks know better. Yep, there you have it. So Trudeau's like, should we go in and get those children? Right? Well, guess what? One mama bear, if you will, one mama bear, Canadian style, has warned Justin Trudeau and the mayor of Ottawa, and I'm sure the premier of Ontario, right? This is her quote, if you touch one single child out there, I will personally gather minivans full of soccer moms, and we will drive to Ottawa. They're stepping it up, folks, the protesters, and they should. Americans, Canadians, people who understand common law, rights, right? In Canada, they have their Charter of Freedoms. Down here, we have our Bill of Rights. Understand, folks, if we don't stand up for ourselves, no one will, because these politicians, well, they listen to people like the Booster Rooster. They listen, right, to corporations, but they don't listen to us. What else have we got there, Jolene? Who wants to step up next on the Friday Frenzy free-for-all? What do we got rolling now? Well, looks like the Slim One checks in. He says, if truckers or some other group was to shut down one or several major metropolises, it would only take 2 days, maybe 4, before major riots. Your thoughts? Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Let me see if I can find a little bit of support for what you're saying here. Well, I can't see the exact headline. There it is. Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul. United States Senator Rand Paul is supporting a United States of America trucker convoy. Folks, free speech is not a crime. Supporting free speech with money, activities, firewood, diesel fuel, submarine sandwiches, whatever you want to call it, right? That's supporting free speech is free speech. Rand Paul is doing well. I'm glad. But getting to your question, right? In other words, they're trying to put together some trucker convoys here, yes, in the United States. Shut down one or several major metropolises. I'm thinking it could be 1 to 4 days, and there could be some problems. As far as major riots, the potential is there, yes. Major riots guaranteed? I won't say guaranteed. Now, let's go a little further with this. Once again, you can see how America, we've talked about it enough, how the people don't have days and days worth of food. They have days, but they don't have weeks. So a few days could start to cause some, a little pressure. Kind of like that pressure the government was putting on us. Go get your Jim Jones juice. Get that juice, or we're going to fire you. We're going to take away your benefits. We're going to take away your Social Security. No more medical coverage for you. Can't go out in public. Can't go to restaurants. Can't go to stores. Right? That's all that pressure, right? Well, how about a little pressure going the other way? They don't like that, do they? Now, again, this is why you come here. Let's take this a little further. Let's demonstrate why our thinking here at the Prepared Mind channel is so useful. You said shut down one or many U.S. cities by blockading them with semi-trucks. Yeah, you bet. And then let's see, tow truck companies, they get cerveza bug and they can't come out and tow anyone or move them away. Does that represent a national security problem? Well, the United States government and governors right now up on the Canadian border would have you believe so. Right? How dare you shut down that artery? How dare you risk any business loss? Do you remember when that pipeline was hacked and they had ransomware? Number one, I think that was the CIA working along with other covert service agencies doing that. But let's just pretend like it was a private group. And what was the response from the federal government? That response was, this is not a national security issue. It is a private corporate matter, and we don't need to have anything to do with it. Never mind the fact that pipelines is energy, and our nation needs energy. Even the capital, Washington, D.C., needs energy. Let's see. The pipeline is regulated by federal law. So that is a federal issue, right? Yeah, it sure is. But they wanted to claim it wasn't a national security issue. But, a couple of trucks parked on a frickin' bridge, that is. You can see how in the United States, I bet the Biden administration would call that a national crisis. Hell, if you go to a school board meeting as a parent, if you go to a school board meeting as a parent and you stand up and object or raise awareness of or point out any problems, you are now a domestic terrorist according to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So if just merely going to a school board meeting makes you a terrorist, imagine how much of a terrorist you would be in the eyes of the government if you parked a truck and blocked an on-ramp, an off-ramp, a highway in the United States of America. Oh, you dirty, evil bastards out there, right? But let Antifa set fire to state, local, and federal courthouses, no problem. Let Antifa and BLM set fire to police stations, police cars. Let them burn the eyes out of police officers with lasers. Throw bottles of ice, bricks, and other hard objects at police officers. Let them shoot fireworks, explosives at police officers. And that's not a problem. Let them burn stores, loot stores, and murder citizens. That's to be encouraged, according to the political left. Billions of dollars in damage? Hey, it was pockets of violence, not a big deal. Mostly flaming, peaceful. Good golly, folks, what a bunch of liars. Right? They're a bunch of liars. They don't see the problems they're causing. In LA, kid forced to wear an N95 mask passes out in the heat. I thought the science said passing out from oxygen deprivation was not a good thing. Yeah. See, I'm not an expert, folks. All I am is a satirist. We were told to follow the science. You know, how many kids actually get cerveza bug and it's actually a problem for them? Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. Well, you know, speaking of kids, in Las Vegas, the kids there at school were told that the next day they weren't going to have to wear their masks. And what do you think the response of those kids was? Right? What do you think the response of those kids was? You would think kids would be lackadaisical, like they wouldn't care, like it was no big deal.
Starting tomorrow, we don't have to wear masks anymore.
Those were screams of joy by children, not screams of terror. See, what they're hoping to do is scare everyone into being terrorized at the idea of not wearing a mask. So the teacher is like, and thank God this was a real good teacher in Las Vegas. Hey kids, tomorrow you don't have to wear masks. And the kids jumped up and down. Yeah, woo. They know it's a bunch of crap. They're tired of it. They're tired of it. Good for those kids. All right, folks, what do you want to talk about? Jolene, we're coming up on about the 30-minute mark. Let's see what the heck is going on. We got Blue Cord Devil, I believe, checking in from the great Northwest, Washington State. Yes, here we go. Washington State Senate passed a bill to end life without parole, which would put murderers and rapists back on the street, including, folks, get this, the Green River Killer. Blue Cord Devil wrote, "It's a mad, mad world." Well, it was a great movie, comedy with a ton of caveats, a bunch of great actors, called "It's a Mad, 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 Mad World." That was actually funny. This is disturbing, folks. The Green River Killer is one of the most infamous mass murderers in United States history. Now eligible for parole. No longer can they be punished life without parole. No, these killers, murderers, rapists, they still have to go before a parole board and convince them, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good these days. I don't think I need to go out and kill 20 people anymore. Nope, I'm just fine. It's all good. It's cool. You can trust me. Like illegal immigrants, once again, I love to bring you thinking a little different, right? Like all those illegal immigrants, once they get rounded up and sent to Delaware, into Biden's neighborhood, and to California, to Nancy Pelosi's neighborhood, and shown the vast lawns they can go camp on, right? That's when these people change their minds. I think that these parolees coming out of the Washington penal system, and I say penal and I mean it, they come out of this penal system, guess what? They ought to go and live in the neighborhoods where these politicians live. I think that would be marvelous. Folks, it's because they're not having to deal with it that they don't see the problem with it. Kind of like, I don't know, Trudeau, he's hiding in his bunker. Yeah, now I'm in my bunker, you bet. Loving the bunker. But I'm not trying to lock down a nation. I'm trying to free, well, this nation and the whole world, doing all we can, you and I, right here, right here, you and I, we want to wake the world up and tell them to fight for your freedom. Well, you remember, once again, I'm going to call back. This is what I love doing this. I love thinking about what the Democrats did in the past, what those idiots did and said and expected us to choke down as, you know, intelligent thought. At the Chaz, once again in the state of Washington, at the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, the leaders, I believe, of Seattle and the governor met with the Chaz leadership. You know, that jackass rapper? They met with them to find out what their demands are. Right? The Chaz didn't represent, the Chaz leadership didn't represent, the entire Antifa BLM movement didn't represent anyone other than themselves. A bunch of Marxist turds. The truckers in Canada, conversely, represent all of the people of Canada, regardless of age, race, gender, color, religion, or any other thing. People who just want freedom. So, the leaders in America wanted to meet with these thugs who were brandishing weapons, assaulting, sexually assaulting, and stealing from people inside their little autonomous zone. They met with them and treated them as real diplomats. Well, in Canada, the Freedom Convoy has an attorney, right? Alison Pejovic, attorney for the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, is representing the truckers and the Freedom Convoy in Canada. And guess what? She said that they're having all kinds of problems, right? And Trudeau is not responding to requests to talk. I thought Canadians were better than Americans at talking, being reasonable, getting along. Well, Trudeau, nor his office, nor his deputies, if you will, anyone from the Trudeau administration, they're not going to talk to the truckers. The truckers have made it easy. They've made it very clear. What they said is return what belongs to us. Return our property, our rights, right? Your rights belong to you. Does that make them property? Well, I don't know. I don't know if property is the right word. It's a thing, but it is very tangible. And you know what's missing when you can't exercise it. It's kind of like, well, I can't see air, but I know that if I stop breathing, I need it. And so I breathe. But if you tried stopping me from breathing, that would kill me. That would be taking my right to life, my breath. Well, our other rights are every bit as necessary for life. Our freedoms, our liberties. Trudeau has taken them, and just like taking our right to breathe, taking our other rights is wrong, right? It's tyranny, it's a crime. And so he's stolen the rights of the people, along with other governments all around the world, right? It's time to give it back, and he won't talk about it. He will not negotiate, folks. The Canadian government right now is not willing to negotiate. Where do you think that's going? Let's see what you want to talk about next. Let's get to it and see what's on your mind. We've got Latin America checking in. He says the government wants to seize fuel and firewood from the protesting truckers in Canada. The weather in Canada is dangerously cold, and the governor wants to leave people without heat. The government, Trudeau, the mayors, the prime minister. Is that a violation of international law? Well, if it's not a violation of international law, it's certainly a violation of Canadian, the Charter of Rights for the People, their constitution, if you will, because they too have a right to life. And so when you take a life securing, a life, shall we say, supply or resource, like, is the government allowed to go to people's houses and steal their firewood? Is the government allowed to go to people's houses and steal their fuel, their propane? Is the government allowed to go to people's houses, right, and freeze them out? Well, that's an act. It's a criminal act. It's sabotage. It's causing discomfort, pain, suffering, psychological trauma, and it's risking their lives. By taking their fuel and their firewood, they're risking the lives of these people and their children. So not only is it abusing people unnecessarily, because all they have to do is remove the theft, restore, and recognize the rights of people, and everything would go back to normal, just like that. Government has the power to fix this instantly. They can fix it instantly, and they're refusing. Instead, they're threatening to take wood, take fuel, and putting the lives of children, men and women at risk in Canada. Over what? Over what, I ask you? Something that now over a dozen states in the United States, run by smelly, stinky communist Democrats, Those states have now lifted their restrictions. This is going away. In fact, I believe in Canada, right there in Ottawa, they said they were going to lift restrictions. And now they're doing this. No. We changed our mind, right? We're going to declare a state of emergency instead of lifting restrictions. Unbelievable, folks. I want to remind you one more time to go to this website, because with one click, you can get a hold of hundreds, folks, hundreds of politicians in one shot. You can tell Congress, all of them, that they defund the mandate. The website is called alignact.com, ALIGNACT.com, alignact.com. And you hit the Take Action Now button. It's a red button. Take action now. Fill it out. You got to put in like 5 different lines, and then you are going to be able to affect the lives of politicians by stuffing their email boxes full of information. Now it's crazy, folks, what is going on. Yeah, if they steal the wood, I think you can look at that as attempted murder. The police apparently took the fuel, were told to take it back. They're now trying to debunk that. There's video of police stealing firewood and stealing fuel cans. How is that debunked? How can they debunk that when there's film of it, video? Unbelievable. The lies that are being told. We are in an information war. It is a psychological operation the government's engaged in, trying to scare people into believing they're going to die. But it's okay to risk the lives of families by stealing their fuel, stealing their firewood. That's fine. But if we could just save one life by forcing everyone to take an experimental Jim Jones juice booster, no problem there. Oh, by the way, Europe has decided to look into all of the medical problems that women are now suffering because they got the Jim Jones juice affecting their menstrual cycles. And they're like, we don't think there's a problem here. There's so many complaints, they're now opening an investigation. Don't you think they should have had all this figured out before they released this unpopular panacea? It's more like a Pandora's box of shit they've opened up and said, you got to take it, you got to take it, you got to take it. Yeah, you bet. Canada, the eyes of the world are on you. Right? That's what their government is saying. The eyes of the world are on us. We have to do this right. So what are they doing? Making people's lives more difficult. Well, I'm going to tell you, the truckers, the protesters, the eyes of the world are upon you, and the world is looking to you. You have inspired in the United States, Canada. Makes me proud. I'm not really ashamed of the United States, but certainly am proud of Canada for stepping up. Now in Australia, they're starting truckers' convoys in America. They are, and it's being supported by politicians like Rand Paul. It is good, folks, right? Justin Trudeau, he is a turd. I want to get to him, but first, let's see what you want to talk about. Jolene, have we got another comment, question, statement, idea, topic? Because I just love picking on Trudeau, but I know this is a Friday frenzy and a free-for-all. So we got Gary D. He says, a parent was physically removed from a school board meeting for being maskless. What is your opinion about self-defense from unlawful physical aggression by police? Now, here's the deal. I am not going to give anyone advice on dealing with the police, because that could be dangerous or harmful to your health and your life and your career. Now, unlawful physical aggression by police. In a world of freedom and liberty where everyone could see that what was being done by the policeman was wrong, it would be great if people could walk up and say, you, police officer, stop right now. And the police would have to obey a crowd of others telling him to stop. Instead, the police have this attitude of, I know what's right, I know the law, I have the authority to take this action, and if you interfere with me, you're going to jail too, right? So the deal is, I mean, if there's unlawful aggression and it's a false arrest by the police officer, you're still required to submit and allow them to arrest you, and then you can sue them later. You can get an attorney, which costs money. You can go to court, which costs money and time, and you can sue that police officer for unlawful arrest. And they have insurance, and it hurts them. It hurts them. Cost them money ultimately, But yeah, you can sue their bond, right? It would be nice if the Constitution would just be followed. If you say, we're in a bad place in this country where a school board can tell a policeman to arrest someone and remove them from the room. On what charge? What crime? Being maskless is not a crime. It's not a crime if you don't wear a mask. It violates some emergency edict by some minor league Hitler. Sure, but that's not a crime, right? But they'll charge you with something. Right? And if you resist arrest, you'll be charged with that, and that is a misdemeanor. We're in a very dangerous place, folks. It's not going to take more than a few people objecting and unleashing freedom seeds in one of these instances. And of course, the media and the president and all of the leftists will be right there and claim that, that's exactly what's been come to be expected of Republicans, is to start shooting everyone. Hasn't happened yet, folks. Hasn't happened yet. But what happens when that one person finally says, you know what, I'm tired of being pushed around. I've lost enough and I've got nothing left to lose. And that reminds me, when the other day I was thinking about Christopher Dorn. I don't know if you guys remember Christopher Dorn from about 5 years ago. He was a former law enforcement officer. I can't remember if he was suspended or fired down in the Los Angeles area. I can't remember if he worked for the police department or the sheriff's department. I believe it was the sheriff's department, the LA sheriff. Either way, it doesn't matter. He decided he was going to open up fire. A police officer felt like it was justifiable for him to enact a little bit of citizens, shall we say, revenge or vengeance or law enforcement, or a citizen's verdict against the police officers that had wronged him. And there was a huge manhunt. Police were so scared of this guy that they opened up fire, bam, 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 with their guns on trucks, vehicles that looked similar to what he was supposed to be driving, right? Christopher Dorn was a black man, remember, again, also law enforcement. But police at one point shot up a truck with 2 Asian women in it out of fear. On the comedic side, I remember seeing black men wearing shirts that said, "I am not Christopher Dorn" on them, because they were, one, making a political statement. 2, they didn't want to get shot just for being a black guy, and looking like this police officer. That's dangerous. Dangerous being a person of color, a POC. You get it for being a police officer, or you get it for not being a police officer. Anyways, that was quite a thing. This whole idea of resisting arrest and fighting back, that is part of the partisan conflict that is coming. Right? The movies Mad Max. When things got out of control, out of hand, after a while, you can't tell a difference between, roving gangs of thugs and law enforcement acting outside of the law. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who's the good guys? Well, you and I, we know what's right and wrong. But we also know that in a wild, crazy-ass world, everyone's going to think they're right. And there's going to be, the quick and the dead. Anyways, get prepared, folks. Get prepared. Chance favors the prepared mind. If you don't know what's coming, if you aren't prepared to deal with it, you may be on the losing end of a confrontation. So Justin Trudeau, back to him. He is putting the people of Canada and the police, law enforcement of Canada, the city police, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMP, putting them at odds with each other. And he's sitting in his little bunker. And he says, tonight, folks, a crackdown is coming. A crackdown is coming. They're going to start cracking down on these people. And I know the Canadians, I mean, I've read the clips. We love the police. We're willing to be arrested by them. We're not going to give up. We're not going to quit. It's going to take a lot, folks. It's going to take a lot more than what's happened so far, because the government of Canada has decided to change its mind about letting up, right? Instead of removing restrictions and masks and mandates, they've decided they're going to keep stuff in place, and they're going to go after and start removing these truckers. Once again, folks, these politicians, you can't trust them. In fact, Mitch McConnell, the Senate Republican minority party leader, right, has come out and called January 6th a violent insurrection. And now the Republican House minority leader, House of Representatives, McCarthy, this little rhino sellout pile of crap from California, has sided with McConnell and also called the January 6th protest/police attack a violent insurrection. This AlignAct.com needs to have an email prepared for all Republican congressmen and all Republican senators to tell them to vote out of leadership Senator McConnell and Representative McCarthy. They're both weak. They're both rhinos. They're both sellouts. And they like being losers, folks. They like being the weak party. They like being victims in Washington, D.C. They like accepting whatever contributions come their way. And they'll gladly lay down and let things go the Democrats' way and then say, well, we couldn't do anything. We weren't in power or authority. Yeah, well, you still feathered your nest. You still made a bunch of money on it, didn't you, pal? And then you get to blame the Democrats for big government and big corporate alliances and then pretend like it's not your fault. Yeah. Unbelievable, folks. The sham these people have going. Coming or going, winning or losing, they make money while we get screwed over. Okay, let's see what you guys want to talk about. See what you guys have to say. I've got more. Ooh, I've got a goodie coming up next. We got Mr. Shawnee Momini checking in. Hey, brother, he says, is Beijing Joe really willing to go World Whiskey Alfa Romeo with Russia? Or is he just saber rattling while sending troops to Ukraine? This is a good one, because just today, the White House has released a statement. Folks, this is why you tune in here, for great questions like this and for great answers. White House has given Americans 24 to 48 hours to leave the Ukraine, leave the nation of Ukraine. 24 to 48 hours. And they're warning that an invasion, quote, could begin during the Olympics. Once again, why are they mentioning the Olympics? Why is the United States government saying, these truckers, if you do a trucker strike, it's going to affect your Super Bowl? Really? That's my concern, the Super Bowl? Super Bowl is a football game. And I don't really, I'm not going to lose a whole lot of sleep if it got interrupted. Right? I'm pretty sure I got a good supply of Doritos and Fritos and other O's. Right? I don't have to worry about what's going on. Anyways, I actually don't have a supply of Doritos and Fritos, folks. It's bad food. White House is giving Americans 24 to 48 hours. He thinks that they're going to invade Russia. Well, I guess he thinks Russia's going to invade Ukraine after 48 hours. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, during the Olympics at some point. That's pretty specific. That is pretty specific. That Biden is one sharp cookie, huh? Beijing Joe, he knows what's going on. Meanwhile, don't forget, folks, that is it 20%? No, 40%. What's the percentage? I think it's really high. Fertilizer, world supply, I think is it's like 20% of the world's fertilizer supply comes from Russia. I know that the most ever crude oil is being shipped from Russia to the United States now. That's right, we're relying on Russian oil. The world relies on Russian fertilizer. I'm pretty sure that the United States relies on Russia for its nuclear fuel rods, its uranium. Even though we have uranium mines here in the United States, we could mine our own and everything else, but you know, they're too busy playing games, and the domestic production is shuttered. It is done. It is stopped. They're not really mining because it's being sold cheaper around the world. Anyways, that price is going up pretty steep because Kazatomprom, which is responsible for 40% of the world's uranium supply, is having a little bit of political trouble. Yeah, we got a lot of problems here. And Joe Biden wants to rattle sabers. He wants to threaten Russia over the fact that Russia and the Ukraine have said that they're peaceful. They're not giving up on this. There's a reason for it, folks. There's a reason. We were told that Russia is going to commit a false flag. That is a phony plastic banana, good time, rock and roll, bullshit, Persian bazaar event that's fabricated, manufactured, a lie, so that they can have an excuse to invade the Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russia thinks the same of the United States, saying that we have our own plastic banana, good time, rock and roll, bullshit, Persian bazaar, false flag to run. So everyone's waiting for someone else to play a game. Is something going to happen? It's possible. It's absolutely possible. I don't know. Right? I think we all need to be very aware. Thank you, Shawnee, Momini. But yeah, I think we need to be very concerned. Hey, food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Whether we have a problem domestically because the governments here want to claim anyone with a truck as a bad guy and a terrorist, or whether we have problems over there in Russia or China, right? We got James Nicholson checking in. He says, question for John. 90 proof, meaning 90 proof Nancy Pelosi, 90 proof has turned the swamp into a zoo with all of the fencing and barricades. Do you think the plan all along has been to need them this November? Well, that's a very interesting, forward-looking question, James. Thank you. Yeah, well, those barricades and stuff went up after the last election in 2020, right? They started feeling unsafe there. Yeah, we've had this escalation, folks, for years, for decades. We've had the militarization of our police forces around the country, militarization of sheriff's departments, giving them MRAPs, that is military vehicles that are bulletproof. You know, they've been militarizing the police and sheriff's departments. And now they're fortifying Washington, D.C., right? Joe Biden is fortifying the White House. Nancy, 90 proof, the twit that she is putting barricades, fences, and armed guards up around Congress. You know what? I think we ought to build a wall around Washington, D.C. and tell them to stay inside. We'll handle the outside. It's pretty crazy stuff, though. Yeah, it is a zoo. And I like the fact that they're inside of the cage. I think that Nancy Pelosi needs to stay inside of the cage. Same with Joe Biden. Stay in your cages, folks. You guys in D.C., stay in your cages and leave us the hell alone. All right, now we're going to revisit a topic. Thank you again, James. Let's look forward. I think, yeah, you wait and see what happens. They may claim that the election was not good in 2022. They may say that it was a false election, fraudulent election, and that 90 proof isn't going to give up the Speaker of the House and that she owns Congress. I mean, what would that surprise us if she completely blew a gasket, completely lost her marbles, you know, and said, I own this place, I run this place, how dare you, you ain't taking it from me, right? She just goes totally ape shit, right? She's had one too many One too many Jim Jones juice boosters, just kind of loses her mind. It's possible. All right, so let's revisit this topic. The topic of a Supreme Court nominee. Once again, people are saying Kamala Harris, right? Greg Kelly of Fox News has said Kamala Harris. Yeah, I think he's at Fox News. Fox News, or Greg Kelly, yeah, Kamala. Because yesterday, Hillary Clinton decided to show her unpretty side, which is all sides. She decided to start talking again. We know that Joe Biden doesn't like Kamala. Joe Biden is incredibly unpopular, and Kamala is even more unpopular. The most unpopular duo ever. Joe's losing his marbles. He said some incredibly dumb shit today. He even mixed up nations on the, I mean, you're the president, for God's sake. Get your shit together, right? I'm not the president. I can make mistakes. President, you're not allowed to. That's all Joe does is fuck up. Anyways, they're going to want to get rid of Kamala. And Hillary is looking at running for president again. What better way for her to run for president to actually be in the White House again and convince the world, yeah, see, I'm doing a great job. Joe has done an awful job. But, you know, now that Hillary's in the House, she's going to clean it up. Look out. And one of the ways to get from here to there is to get Kamala out of the way. I believe they're pressuring Justice Roberts. I'm sure they're pressuring anyone they can to leave the Supreme Court. It would be funny, though, for once to get a Supreme Court nominee who the left appoints and actually have that person swing back and become a constitutionalist. We've had nothing in my lifetime but conservatives and liars who get onto the Supreme Court and then go, you know what, I'm going to be a liberal scumbag. Unbelievable. It's never happened to the Democrats. They put a socialist on the Supreme Court. That person's a stinking socialist. What a world, man. What a world. We're coming up on the hour, folks. Right? Canada is going to be looked at over the weekend. It's a big deal. Oh, by the way, next Tuesday, I want to remind everyone we're going to do 2 for Tuesday, Sunday Night Live special on Tuesday. We're going to take Sunday night off just to take it off. Get some rest, folks. Refresh yourself. Monday, we'll be back. Tuesday, we'll do regular broadcast, but instead of the 4 p.m. live on Patreon, we'll do 6 p.m. 6 p.m. and it'll be live for everybody. Sunday Night Live on Tuesday night. I'll send out little reminders, gentle nudges, right? Pop up. That's why you need to get, you need to be subscribed, right? And you need to hit that little notification bell over there in the corner. That little notification bell, right? It's down there. Hit that bell so that when videos come, it pops up and tells you, hey, it's happening. We're going to have breaking news. Breaking news is going to start, folks, with regard to all things. And I've gotten a few requests now to get me, Brother Jim, Brother Roger out at the next protest here in the United States of America. So, yeah, we need to get out on the scene, folks. We got Doc Holliday, Guns and 2A, and he says, John, do you know where we can donate to the American Convoy? The answer is no, I do not know. It is still not fully organized and operational, but I know there's going to be a lot of support for it. There's been a ton of support. I'm sure it's going to be not GoFundMe. I think it's probably going to be Give, Go, Send. Expect the government of the United States and other state governments to threaten everybody. I'm sure the police will be used, right, to try and quell any protests that the government doesn't like. Funny how they allow protests and free speech, even if it's violent, but not if it's people wanting their rights and their liberties restored. We got big trouble coming, folks. Yeah, as soon as we know about the U.S. protests, convoys, or anything else, we'll pass that on. That information will also be made available at our Facebook site as well as on patreon.com. And I'd love it for you to go to Patreon for $2 a month, folks. $2 a month, not even a cup of coffee. No, I'm not talking a Starbucks coffee, folks. We're talking a plain old like a Dunkin' Donuts coffee or a McDonald's coffee, right? $2 a month, you get all kinds of extra information, and you guerrilla fund all of our efforts here. You know, we've got people, believe it or not, 24/7 around the world. The sun never sets on the Prepared Mind Network. There are literally people around the world working with you and me to gather information, to study it, to analyze it, to tear it apart, to apply common sense, critical thinking, and then come up with the solution, the answer, the antidote. And the antidote to all things Democrat, socialist, communist, the antidote to all things to that is freedom and liberty. It is always freedom and liberty, folks, that works for the people and creates prosperity, law and order, freedom. Funny how that works, huh? And if we don't have law and order and we don't have freedom, it's because we have lawless government. And boy, right, doubling down. Ontario, their premier, said he was going to drop the mandates, drop the Jim Jones mandates, and then today he declares a state of emergency. Yeah, you can trust them about as far as you can kick them. Yep. They're starting in Australia with a blockade, folks. Right? It's coming. People are fighting back around the world. Seeing one country like Canada is now encouraging other countries. Freedom is contagious, folks. Freedom is contagious. And for the Democrats, right, nearly a dozen states now are saying, hey, who cares what the CD says? They're ditching mandates because it's not politically expedient for these Democrats anymore. They're losing way too much favor and traction. So expect them to make decisions, not because of science, certainly not because of medicine. I guarantee it's because it's political in nature. All of their decisions are. And they're losing, folks. They're losing support. So keep standing up, keep fighting, keep sharing, and thank you again. And please keep supporting all of our efforts here at the Prepared Mind Network. Hey, chance favors the prepared mind. Aren't you glad you are a prepper? Things are going to get nasty, folks. Things are going to get nasty, and I'm going to be pleased to be here as your representative for the thinking mind, right? The prepared mind. You guys have a great weekend. I'll be here all weekend working, and then we'll be back in video form next week. You guys be cool. Semper Fi. Godspeed.
Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.